failure is not a four-letter word. It's the admission fee to success. It's hard to imagine, but you have to learn how to fail, because that's where the real lessons lie. Let those words sink in for a moment. In a world that worships overnight sensations and get-rich-quick schemes, the concept of embracing failure seems antithetical. From a young age, we're conditioned to fear failure, to avoid it at all costs. But what if I told you that the greatest winners are not those who never fail, but those who fail the most? And keep going? The path to achieving your dreams is littered with setbacks, rejections, and gut-wrenching disappointments. It's a gauntlet that will test your resolve, your tenacity, and your willingness to push through when every fiber of your being screams, give up. But you can't give up. Not if you want to join the ranks of the truly extraordinary, the visionaries, the trailblazers, the history makers who dared to dream bigger than their circumstances. Think of the great inventors. Thomas Edison endured thousands of failed attempts before perfecting the light bulb. But instead of surrendering to defeat, he learned from every mistake, inching ever closer to his eureka moment. Or consider Abraham Lincoln, a man whose life was a tapestry of setbacks and challenges. Failed businesses, a nervous breakdown, defeated in his first bid for Congress. Yet he pressed on, letting the sting of failure galvanize his determination until he ultimately reached the pinnacle of political leadership as the 16th president. The ability to persist in the face of failure is what separates the wildly successful from the also-rans. It's the hidden ingredient, more valuable than talent, more powerful than privilege. And make no mistake, acquiring that tenacity is a conscious choice. No one is born with an infinite well of grit. It must be cultivated, fortified through the refiner's fire of adversity. That's why I'm here today, to fan the flames of your passion, to stoke the fire that will propel you through the inevitable setbacks on your journey. Because you will encounter failure, make no mistake about. The question is like, what will you do when it knocks you flat on your back, stealing the wind from your lungs? Will you stay down and surrender to the seductive whispers of quitting? Or will you clamber back to your feet, battered but not broken, and soldier on with a renewed sense of purpose? The choice is yours, but let me remind you, every time you pick yourself up after failure, your character is fortified. The courage to begin again becomes hardwired into your psyche. You cultivate the single most valuable asset in the pursuit of greatness, resilience. Just look at the supreme examples throughout history, from the downtrodden colonies that triumphed over the British Empire to the first African-American president overcoming centuries of injustice and institutionalized racism. What enabled their improbable victories? An unwavering refusal to abandon their dreams in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. So when the winds of opposition howl with disapproval and scorn, I implore you, do not be moved. Remain steadfast, unshakable in your quest. Let every failure, every rejection, every fleeting taste of disappointment fuel your hunger for achievement. Because here's the harsh truth. Nothing worthwhile was ever accomplished through comfort and ease. Greatness must be wrested from the jaws of adversity. Those celebrated as heroes and pioneers did not simply stumble into their success. No, they were forged in the crucible of turmoil, emerging from the flame stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. Perhaps you dream of founding a world-changing company like Apple or Amazon. Or maybe your ambitions are more personal, to be a loving parent, a pillar of your community. Whatever your Everest may be, there is no prize for those who prematurely abandon the climb. So prepare yourself mentally. Expect turbulence, because it's a certainty on any meaningful journey. But know this, the storm is temporary, a mere obstacle to be surmounted. And once you crack the code of resilience, cultivating the tenacity to fight on when you desperately want to surrender, you unlock powers within yourself that cannot be. You become unstoppable, unfazed by the setbacks that topple those of weaker constitutions. Where others falter, you draw strength. Where the doubters scoff, you work with increased vigor. Failure ceases to be something to be feared, but an inevitable storm to be weathered on your quest for greatness. Now, I'm not naive. Persevering through adversity is easier pontificated than done. There will be moments when quitting seems like the logical choice, when the risks of pressing on appear to outweigh the potential rewards. In those dark hours, I urge you to harness the motivational power of your why. The burning reason that propelled you on this journey in the first place. Was it to build financial security for your family? To blaze a trail for those who will follow? To prove the naysayers wrong and etch your name amongst the immortals? Let that why be the Lotus Star that guides you safely through the darkness, a beacon that reignites your passion when the flames of commitment start to flicker. Because I guarantee you, on the other side of that metaphorical storm lies the paradise you seek. The dreams you've worked so hard to manifest. But you'll never witness that promised land if you abandon the voyage prematurely. Just recall the words of the ancient mariners Columbus sailed on in the face of mutiny from his crew because he refused to give up his vision of a new world. When the raging winds of adversity try to blow you off course, do not waver. Remember why you started? Dig your heels in and keep pressing forward one grueling step at a time. Be relentless in the pursuit of your goals. Outwork your doubters, out-hustle the competition, and outlast the inevitable setbacks that try to keep you shackled in the purgatory of mediocrity. Refuse to give up, refuse to surrender your dreams to the army of critics and skeptics. Stand resolute and unwavering, emboldened by the scars of past failures. Because in this life, there are no rewards for those who prematurely throw in the towel. The winners, the achievers, the history makers are not defined by a life of comfort, but by their willingness to endure discomfort in the name of something greater than themselves. That fire, that driving impulse to climb higher, push harder, it burns within each of you. It brought you to this arena today, hungry for the knowledge and motivation to chase your Everest. So let this be the spark that ignites an inferno of determination within your soul, an inferno that cannot be extinguished by the winds of opposition, rejection, or failure. Let this moment mark your refusal to be just another face in the crowd. Commit here and now to being a rock, impervious to the crashing waves of adversity that prematurely capsize so many dreamers. From this day forward, you are a lion who won't be caged by the limits of your circumstances. You are an unstoppable force of persistence and resilience. This is your declaration to the world. I won't give up. You can throw every obstacle in my path, but I will claw my way to the summit, because I was born to achieve greatness. And greatness does not come from comfort zones. It is mined from the depths of adversity and forged with the white-hot flames of perseverance. So embrace the journey with all its perils and pitfalls. Celebrate the failures, for they are mere course corrections on your path to victory. And never, ever, ever give up on your wildest ambitions. Because in the end, the only way to achieve true meaning and fulfillment is to slay the demon of complacency and chase the immortality that comes from realizing your ultimate potential. The choice is yours. Surrender your dreams to the path of least resistance, or fight like a warrior to claim the prize that you were destined for. What's it going to be? The path ahead will not be easy, my friends. In fact, I can guarantee that it will be arduous, replete with obstacles that will test the very fiber of your being. The road to your dreams is rugged terrain filled with pitfalls and posted with danger signs urging you to turn back. But you cannot heed those warnings. You cannot allow the voice of doubt and fear to divert you from your destined path, for the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single, defiant step in the face of opposition. Consider the plight of the eagle, that most majestic creature whose ability to soar to unimaginable heights is unparalleled in the natural world. Does the eagle attain its lofty domain by chance or whimsy? No, its ascension is hard-fought, battling fierce winds and buffeting storms every step of the climb. And make no mistake, those howling winds of resistance will come for you as well. Try to knock you off course through the voice of the doubters and naysayers. Maybe it will be the bitter detractor lurking on the sidelines waiting to rejoice in your failure. Or perhaps it will be your own imprisoned mind whispering seductive thoughts of quitting when the climb gets too vertical. But you must rebel against those winds, those voices urging surrender and complacency. Steel your mind and borrow the determined refrain of the Spartans at Thermopylae. Then we'll fight in the shade. For true winners are not defined by the absence of adversity, but by their defiance in the face of it. Think of the great titans who shaped our world. Revolutionaries, all who refused to bend to the gale force's counseling retreat. What if the Wright brothers had listened to the pundits who scoffed at their dream of air travel? Or if Susan B. Anthony had meekly accepted the second-class status afforded to women of her era? No, they pressed on, because they had a vision that transcended the myopic jeers of the critics. That obstinate refusal to capitulate in the face of resistance, that persistent belief in themselves when few others could see their vision, that is the secret sauce. That unshakable resolve is what ultimately allowed them to move mountains and bend the arc of history through force of will. So you must develop that same granite-like determination, an unbreakable spirit that weathers every squall and storm that blows against your dreams. Let the insults of the canned crowd ricochet off you as you march ever forward with dogged focus. And when the inevitable setbacks arrive, and they will come, trust me on that, do not falter. Do not interpret those short-term failures as a verdict on your ultimate capabilities. No, see them for what they truly are, harsh tutors preparing you for the final victory through the tuition of experience. After all, every master was once a stumbling novice made battle-hardened through the gauntlet of mistakes. Every champion was once a rookie absorbing brutal defeats before learning to win. Their losses in those early days were not a signal to abandon their quest, but course corrections plotting the way to eventual triumph. So you cannot fear the failures, but must embrace them as way stations on your road to mastery, just as a student must endure grueling practice and correction to gain competency. Your failures are simply the price you must pay for admission to the winner's circle. And if you study the icons, the Michael Jordans, the Henry Fords, the Milton Hersheys, you'll find that the pathway to their immortality was littered with more missteps than highlights early on. But it was their stubborn defiance in the face of those stumbles that set them apart from the also-rans. In cases, Ernest himself, cut from the varsity team as a skinny sophomore, enduring criticism about his selfish playing style, missing game-winning shots that crushed his team's championship dreams. But rather than surrender to those cruel blows, he metabolized the pain and disappointment into an unquenchable thirst for greatness. So when you inevitably face those gut-punching defeats in your own pursuit, do not lament. Instead, look at them as profoundly valuable lessons, for they are gifting you the priceless wisdom that can only be mined from failure's quarry. Take those lumps and extract the insight about what went wrong, where your techniques faltered, what adjustments you need to make. Then get back on the horse with even more voracious hunger to conquer the mountain. You'll get it right eventually. This I can promise. If you just refuse to surrender, that's the mindset of a winner. An unwavering belief in their abilities and the dogged persistence to outlast every setback. Not through bluster or arrogance, but through a profound inner confidence in their ultimate capacity for achievement. And while the critics and naysayers may wage their campaigns of mockery and derision, realize that they're simply voicing their own insecurities and limitations. They cannot fathom your willingness to charge fearlessly against the windmills of adversity because their own dreams have already shriveled on the vine of complacency. So let them jape and scorn, secure in the knowledge that their mockery is the ultimate compliment, for they wouldn't expend such energy and venom attacking you if they didn't fear the potential of your ambitions. No, you cannot be deterred by their bitter pantomime. Your vision is too grand, your desire for triumph too insatiable to allow their poisonous barbs to penetrate your armor. They are but petty foot soldiers in the regiment of resistance you must vanquish. Because when you reach the summit, when the panorama of your ultimate victory finally unveils itself in all its majesty, those puny voices of cynicism will be drowned out. For in the end, the only opinion that will matter is the deafening roar of your own self-belief shouting you did it. So prepare yourself mentally for that final push, even when your lungs are heaving and your limbs scream for respite. Gird your loins for the labors ahead, for the summit of your dreams lies just beyond the cloud bank of challenges obscuring your view. And as you rest at the peak, your ultimate validation will come from within, from that resolute spirit that refused to bend, that subsumed every failure as mere sustenance for persistence. You will know then the profound truth of Teddy Roosevelt's maxim, nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. For it was that crucible of adversity that gifted you the unbreakable metal to withstand the harshest storms. You will emerge not just a success by the world's accounting, but an inspiration for anyone who dreams of unseating the tyranny of their own self-imposed limits. And when you achieve that apotheosis, that elevation to the realm of those who defied the odds through sheer force of will, the value of your perseverance will become clear. The sacrifices, the trials, the thousands of self-doubting murmurs you quashed along the way, all of it was the price of admission to join the immortal ranks of those who dared to answer history's call. So again, I implore you, do not relent in your pursuit, even when the summit seems impossibly distant. Do not bargain with the self-sabotaging voices urging retreat to the safety of mediocrity. You were destined for so much more than a life of ease and stagnation. No, you must push forward, climbing inexorably toward the pinnacle of your abilities, reaching into your soul's well of boundless determination. Claw your way over every obstacle, letting the friction of resistance leave you burnished and hardened like a diamond emerging from the white-hot pressures of the Earth's mantle. And ultimately, when you plant your flag at the summit, breathless yet undaunted in your conquest, you will join the rarefied fraternity of visionaries who refuse to abandon their obsession. For it will be that stubborn refusal to surrender your dreams, even when quitting seemed the rational choice, that will engrave your name amongst the immortals who moved humanity forward. The path will be tortuous, make no mistake. But keep the faith, persevere through every storm, and you will reach those rarefied heights reserved for those willing to sacrifice everything in pursuit of their obsession. It won't be easy, but nothing worth achieving ever is. So let this be your eternal mantra, your defiant roar that echoes across the valleys of temporary setbacks. I won't give up. Say it aloud and let those 4 words reverberate through your core, steeling your spine for the hard road ahead. Let it be your battle cry and prime mover when the sirens of surrender try to seduce you from your quest. Let it be your credo, now and forevermore. I won't give up. The human spirit is an extraordinary force, capable of achieving miracles when stoked by an unshakable resolve. But that indomitable persistence does not arise from mere willpower alone. No, it must be nurtured, fortified through daily discipline and routines that create unstoppable habits. You see, while our motivations ebb and flow like the tides, habits are the steadfast undertow, driving us relentlessly toward our goals. They are the guardrails keeping us on the path when the inevitable fatigue and doubts try to steer us into the ditch of complacency. So you must be intentional about developing the habits that will breed the necessary resilience. You must proactively construct the rituals and routines that will propel you through the stormy seas of setbacks. Because when failure's icy waves crash over the unwells, it will be those entrenched habits that keep you upright and on course. What does this look like in practice? It starts with something as fundamental as how you initiate your days. Are you beginning each morning with habits engineered to focus your mind on your objectives? Or are you mindlessly lurching from the chime of the alarm into reactionary mode? Construct a morning ritual that instills a sense of laser-focused intention from the moment your eyes open. It could be as simple as reciting affirmations of your capability while visually ingraining images of your goals. Or perhaps a formulaic routine of breathing exercises, visualization and reviewing your quarterly benchmarks. The specifics matter less than the deliberate act of creating unconscious patterns that arm your psyche for battle before the day's first distractions try to accost you. For when you emerge each dawn forged in the habits of a champion, you become impervious to the landmines that derail those who start each day aimlessly wandering onto the battlefield of life. Sustaining this forward momentum throughout the day is equally crucial in the architecture of perseverance. You cannot simply begin with intentionality and then passively await results. No, you must remain hyper-vigilant, routinely beating back the inertia and malaise that tries to usurp your hard-won morning mindset. Implement habits and routines designed to frequently return your mind to your aims while shutting out the static of distraction. Perhaps this means scheduling reminders to review your goals at set intervals throughout the workday. Or maybe it looks like brief interludes to reset with breathing exercises or affirmations whenever you feel your focus waning. The mechanics are less important than fostering the mentality that you are always just a few intentional breaths away from recentering on your purposes. This cultivates a potent form of mental calisthenics, fortifying your willpower through the repetitive exercise of resisting the omnipresent summons from shiny distractions. And as the workday transitions to your evening hours, do not abandon these sustaining habits and routines. In many ways, the nighttime ritual may be the most crucial component in architecting an unstoppable persistence. For it is in these still moments, when the frenetic noise of the world fades, that the demons of doubt and fatigue creep in whispering you to relent, to postpone your crusade in favor of the comfort they offer. You must be militant in erecting the spiritual guardrails that will insulate you from these atmospheric conditions, ripe for surrendering your dreams. Develop routines for winding down in a manner that provides the requisite renewal while also preserving the precious momentum cultivated throughout the day. Perhaps this looks like journaling sessions, where you not only reflect on the day's achievements, but also recommit your intentions in writing for the day ahead. Or maybe it involves reading a few pages from a biography of someone who embodied the struggles and tenacity you seek to emulate. Regardless of the specifics, these evening routines must achieve two objectives: providing the mental palate cleanse for rejuvenating rest, while also planting the seeds of determination that will germinate in the stillness of your subconscious overnight. When done habitually, you create an endless cycle of psychological conditioning that wires your consciousness for resolved pursuit of your aims. So while the world slumbers, visions of your cheerful persistence will be taking root, crowding out any potential for resting on short-term laurels or surrendering to lowered expectations when the inevitable gauntlet of resistance arrives in you in the morning light. You will awaken each dawn regenerated and recommitted, your reservoirs of determination fully replenished through the powerful oxyguan of your evening routines. Long after the honeymoon phase of motivation has waned, these entrenched rituals will keep fanning the flames of your obsession as you march unrelentingly toward your Everest. This profound capacity to sustain intense perseverance resides within each of you. It is simply a matter of developing the habits that act as the wicks for the eternal fire of your ambition. When those habits become not mere routines but deeply grooved patterns of being, you attain a state of unconscious permanence in your persistence. It ceases to be an active exercise of willpower and instead becomes hardwired into your operating system at a foundational level, an unconscious automation of intensity and forward momentum. This is the plane of existence inhabited by the immortals who dominate every endeavor, for their habits have anointed them with the supernatural power to pursue their obsessions unrelentingly. So commit now to edifying the habits and rituals that will elevate you to this rarefied air of cheerful persistence. Guard your morning meditation over coffee as sacrosanct, refusing to sacrifice it to the urgency of the day's trifles. Fight daily to recalibrate your drives through interludes of affirmation and visualization, and zealously protect your evening routines that will refortify your ambition overnight. It is through the machinery of habit that we ascend from the gravitational pull of our circumstances and setbacks. The development of these unconscious patterns create the psychological muscle memory that sustains us when the conscious fatigue sets in. And when you have inculcated the habits of champions as the new homeostasis of your being, you will find that you have attained an unbridled form of freedom, for you will no longer be encumbered by the restraints of finite motivation and fleeting inspiration. Your persistence will be coded into your core operating system. Giving up, surrendering to the ease of complacency, these will register as errors in your programming, as alien and unlikely as a lifelong vegan developing a hankering for slabs of beef. You will continue pressing onward, scaling every precipice, because anything less would be a betrayal of your deeply grooved identity as an unstoppable force. So become a student of the habits and routines that breed unshakable persistence. Model those who have walked this path before you, extrapolating the rituals that empowered them with a stubborn refusal to abandon their obsessions. And then internalize those processes until they become not rote routines but unconscious, automated responses. Only then will you join the immortal ranks, those supreme creatures hardwired for an infinite tenacity in pursuing their grandest ambitions without relent or surrender. The path will still be arduous, the climb still fraught with pitfalls that await to unhinge those of lesser constitutions. But for you, giving up will register as an alien concept, as plausible as a mighty oak talking itself into being an acorn again. You will be animated by the habits of perseverance, a perpetual motion machine of purpose and persistence. I'll leave you with this final char. Become a connoisseur of the rituals and routines that breed unflagging tenacity. Study them, implement them with daily discipline until they become not actions but reactions. Only then will you sustain the cheerful resilience required to outlast every storm that tries to divert you from your Everest. Grows to the persistent, those who match insatiable obsession with the habits and routines that make relenting inconceivable. Commit to joining their mortal ranks by hardwiring the required habits into your daily operating code. And then nothing, neither failure, fatigue, nor fiery resistance, will derail you from claiming the ultimate victory that awaits. Because when perseverance is your perpetual home state, merely existing becomes an act of defiance against the tyranny of surrender. The choice to inculcate these habits is yours. But choose wisely, for that decision will script whether you fade into the obscurity of complacency or it's your name among the immortal icons who refuse to abandon their obsession no matter the pain of persisting. So what will it be? A life of ease and settled mediocrity, or the great incline toward immortal greatness fueled by the indelible habits of champions? Decide this day who you will serve, the gravity of lowered expectations or the starry-eyed pursuit of realizing your boundless potential. The choice is yours, but I implore you to walk the uncommon path. Build the habits that breed persistence, and then you simply cannot be stopped in your ascent to the summit of your aspirations.